outside of romantic intimacy, if we're trying to deepen a connection with a friend or even a family member or business partner, for example, is there something that we can do to open that space up more?
Yeah, and it's a great question, and there's like a lot of nuances to this because it depends on our family dynamics. Like not every family member is safe. Um, sometimes friends don't have the capacity. Like I have friends who I go to for certain things, and I have other friends who I would never share emotional intimacy with. That's just the way it is. Like I wish I could be in a space where all my friends, like if I'm having a shitty day, I could be like, yo, bro, this is what I'm going through. But I don't. I have friends from back in the day. We're cool. We're close, we're cool, but we bond on other things. You know, um, it's having discernment for which family members and friends that you can do this with. That's a big aspect of it. And also, you have to be so willing to lead the ship and to lead everything without taking things personally. Because if you're bringing in the conversation of vulnerability, you're leading the ship. You have to be prepared that somebody just may not want to share vulnerably with you, not because it's you, just because they can't access that with themselves.
Hello, thank you for tuning into the Natural Health Rising podcast. My name is Rachel Smith. I am a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and I've helped hundreds of people naturally reverse symptoms of autoimmune diseases and other health challenges, from digestive issues to hormone imbalances. And in these weekly episodes, you're going to learn from myself and top health experts from around the world about functional medicine and holistic health tips to help you rise to your healthiest, happiest self. Hey, welcome to the 100th episode of the Natural Health Rising podcast. I have something really special for you today. So I am beyond grateful for your support as a listener and all of the support from all of the guests who have been on the show for the past 100 episodes. And I really wanted to do something special to celebrate this milestone with you. So to make this celebration more special, I'm going to do a really big giveaway with a chance to win some super cool prizes that are not just for me, but actually I've had multiple of my past guests come together and donate some incredible prizes, everything from supplements and chocolates to ebooks and courses. So I'm going to get into what those are that you're going to win and how to enter this giveaway. So first up, we have Addictive Wellness, who is giving away 6 of their adaptogen-powered guilt-free chocolate bars. So Addictive Wellness chocolates are free from sugar, GMOs, dairy, nuts, soy, gluten, and even mold toxins, because chocolate actually has quite a bit of mold in it a lot of times. They have a variety of options of chocolate bars that will give you more energy, reduce stress, boost your immune system, and even enhance your natural beauty. So you're going to be getting over $60 worth of these healthy adaptogen-filled chocolates. And shout out to the CEO, Sage Dammers, who is on episode 90 of the Natural Health Podcast, who was so gracious to donate these to you guys. And I actually had their energy bar today before I started recording this. And I just had 2 little squares of this chocolate bar, and I can definitely feel the energy, and there's no caffeine in it or anything. It's just natural, healthy adaptogen. So I really love their products. Next up, we have Trilogy Fungi, who is giving away 3 of their incredible mushroom tinctures that are 100% organic, dual extracted with 0 fillers. This is over $80 worth of mushroom tinctures you're going to be getting. And these are meant to improve your energy levels, boost your immune system, enhance your cognition and focus, and combat stress. And these 3 unique mushroom blends will contain a variety of things like shiitake mushrooms, chaga, turkey tail, lion's mane, cordyceps, and reishi. Shout out to Max Carr, who was on episode 23. He was one of the first guests on the show back in the day. And thank you so much, Max, for donating this from Trilogy Fungi to our listeners. Next up, we have Brenden Durell, who is the intimacy expert on the Netflix show Too Hot to Handle, and he's the CEO of Unknown Intimacy. He is giving away his Intimacy with Self course, which is valued at over $400. And in this course, you're going to discover the power of self-love and self-discovery as you embrace your authentic self, cultivate self-compassion, and nurture a deep connection with who you truly are. What a beautiful course to be giving away. And Brenden is on this episode 100. So if you're not sure who he is, you're going to hear all about him today. Next, we have Nutrition Moderation, owned by Alex King, who is a certified women's health nutritionist, and she is giving away an ebook of your choice up to a $35 value. We've got an acne safe products ebook, a book about coming off of birth control, or a cycle syncing to balance your hormones ebook. And you can check out Alex King on episode 99, so the one right before this. We had an awesome conversation all about women's health. And finally, last but not least, I'm giving away a 1-hour coaching call to help you identify the next steps you need to take to optimize your health, whether you're looking to improve your sleep, get more energy, improve digestive health, or even start to get rid of chronic health symptoms like I've helped hundreds of clients with. I will help you get on the right path. And this is valued at $250. And so with all of these gifts together, so we do have 2 winners. Winner number 1 is going to receive all of these things. You're going to get the chocolates, the Trilogy Fungi Mushroom Pack, the Intimacy with Self course, the ebook, and the call with me. This is valued at $825. Winner number 2, the runner-up, will get almost all of this as well, but what you're going to get specifically is the Intimacy with Self course, an ebook of your choice from Alex, and a free coaching call with me. And all of this is still valued at over $685. I cannot wait to meet you guys and figure out who wins these things. And there's actually 2 ways to enter. So way number 1 is for you podcast listeners specifically. So what you're going to do is you're going to leave a rating and a review on whatever podcast platform you listen to. Once you do that, you're going to take a screenshot of your review on your phone, and you're going to send me that screenshot via email. So my email is rachel@naturalhealthrising.com. It's spelled RACHEL. So Rachel@naturalhealthrising.com. And please share your full name with me and your phone number, just in case your email doesn't show your name, or if you don't respond to emails, I would love to give you a call just to make sure that we can get those prizes to you. Now, if you want to enter a second time to increase your chances of winning, you will have to head over to Instagram, and you're going to find my recent giveaway post there and read the instructions for the giveaway post. It involves doing a couple things on Instagram. So I will be choosing the winners on Sunday, June 16th, and I will be reaching out to the winners around 5 p.m. PST. So you have until about midday on June 16th to enter, and then you should hear from me again by 5 p.m. PST on Sunday, June 16th. So excited for you. So listen to this episode, enjoy it, and then go back, leave that rating and review, take your screenshot, send it to me. And again, if you want to enter a second time, head over to Instagram and check out that giveaway post. That is all. Please enjoy this episode with myself and Brenden Durell, the intimacy expert. I think you guys are going to really love this one.
Welcome to the 100th episode of the Natural Health Rising podcast, and I have Brenden Durell with me today. Brenden Durell is the CEO of Unknown Intimacy, which is a multimedia company focusing on the interconnectedness of life, from romance to friendships to the connection with the earth. Brenden is also the intimacy expert on the popular Netflix show Too Hot to Handle, which has its 6th season coming out very soon. Welcome to the show, Brenden.
What up, Rachel? Thank you for having me on this 100th special episode. I feel honored.
So excited to have you here. Hopefully we get this one right this time. For the listeners, this is like our third time recording because of technical difficulties. So we want to bring this content to you, and we're excited to get this recording done. So let's start with having you tell our listeners, what does intimacy mean to you, and how does it play a role in our lives?
Intimacy is just, for me, the interconnectedness of life. Like, it's not me recreating the wheel in my definition of it. To me, it's just another version of when the greatest sages of our time have said oneness, the web of life, like interconnectedness, like all the things that we've heard many times about just how everything is connected. To me, that's what intimacy is. Intimacy is the essence, the spirit of that binds us all.
Mm-hmm. If we're not having that intimacy in our lives versus if we are able to cultivate that, what are the kind of like the negative side effects, health-wise, psychological, physiological, versus the positive stuff that we can grab from that when we do have that intimacy?
Yeah, so first thing I like to share, I run a free Inspired Intimacy Challenge where I challenge people literally to go into their own intimacy plate, and as I call it, with what things that they have on their plate. And one thing that I see through and through, and this is for everybody, and I feel for humans in general, we all desire to be seen. One of the pillars in the challenge is being sacredly seen. And I feel that innate desire comes to us just because, like, it's a nutrient, it's a vitamin, it's the life force that keeps us going, like communal being and being with others and being in the energy of others. Intimacy is more than just a romantic connotation. It's about how we connect platonically, how we connect to our business colleagues, how we connect to the earth herself, and all the things. So when we talk about the psychological aspects of a lack of intimacy or a plethora of, there are huge differences because the innate being and the stance that we all desire is to be seen and to be with others. So I feel when it comes to intimacy, it gives us the actual permission to be human, because intimacy is synonymous with Tantra, and we'll speak more about that later. And it's just about being messy, being raw, being real, being vulnerable in the ways of, like, hey, this is me, this is me with room to improve. And I'm going to love you as you are with room to improve. And I'm not going to put expectations on you. And intimacy gives us grace to be able to be in that vibe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's before you were talking about offline, we were talking about when you don't fully have that intimacy with people, it almost feels like there's not, like, a relationship, for example, might feel like there's no friction, there's no fighting, like you're not really going deep with somebody to an extent. And then we have the opposite spectrum as well. And so can you talk a little bit more about what that can kind of show up like in a relationship?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I want everybody listening, appreciate you listening. And I want to share too that I am not a relationship expert. Like, that is not my calling, my passion. Like, I'm not one of those people out there like saying, like, you need to be this, to be that. Not, that ain't my vibe. But what I can tell you though about intimacy is that I've worked with thousands of people, and I have amazing friends, and I have friends who are relationship coaches, and I have people in the space. And what I see about just dynamics in general, like, we're going to focus on romantic in this aspect, but with basic human behavior, and just being human, I see it as a very healthy thing to have friction in dynamics, have friction in romantic connections, friction in friendships. And I say this, and also I'm saying friction loosely. Like, I'm not saying toxicity, I'm saying friction. There's a difference. With friction in this case, it's an invitation for us to dive deeper into intimacy with each other. It's a key to unlocking the door so that I can feel you more, you can feel me more. And that's why I feel friction gives us that beautiful opportunity to deepen intimacy with everybody and with everything. Because even if, like, let's say we're not talking about a romantic partner, if I just feel life is just beating the shit out of me, I'm just like, I keep taking an L every time I look. Like, I did this thing and I just lost that, and I didn't get that opportunity. If I'm feeling life is beating me up, if I choose to see life in this bout as an opportunity of intimacy, having intimacy with rock bottom, having intimacy, like, how much can I learn about myself when everything is going wrong? Because the day that when everything goes right, I'm going to be so self-aware and know who the hell I am. So intimacy presents itself in every single moment at all times.
Yeah, it's into me, I see, right? It's like learning yourself on a deeper level when everything is not perfect and everything's not rainbows and butterflies, and being able to go to those depths within yourself or even with other people where you really get to uncover true intimacy.
Yes.
I was sharing with you too earlier about the differences in the two last relationships I was in, where the relationship 2 relationships ago was longer, right? It was almost 2 years, year and a half. And there was no fighting. There was no friction. There was not many disagreements. And I loved that person, but it did always feel like there was another level of depth or intimacy that could have been. And then in a second relationship more recently, it was much shorter, 6 months, but there was some friction. But even within those messy moments, those ugly moments, we were able to come back to connection, have good communication, and come out of it in a different way. And so really, really seeing each other in all aspects. And I felt so much more connected to that person, more in love, and more into feeling seen, like you were saying, by that person. And so it was a really beautiful lesson and gift to be able to get to see, like, what can that really look like to a certain extent in a relationship, versus when you think everything should be perfect all the time, really there might be something that is missing there, where you're not really showing your full self to that other person, or at least that's kind of what I gathered from that experience.
Wow, that's powerful. And when you're sharing that, I'm thinking about like the montages in movies when you see people on like a merry-go-round and they're on it and they just get bored, just like this on the horse, on the unicorns going like this. They get really bored. And then like when you see the other people when they're on the roller coaster, they're like, ah, they're losing their shit, they're going crazy. And like, to me, that's synonymous with life,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can be on the merry-go-round playing it safe, you're still moving, you're still doing things, it's cool, But also it's like there is this innate thing in humans for us to desire some kind of drama, some kind of adrenaline, some kind of friction. That's how people love roller coasters, because there's a high, climb, there's an inevitable down, down, down. That's going to be like, oh my God, this is scary, but also invigorating. And then the thing is, when people come off roller coasters, like the excitement and the dopamine hit, that they're just like, oh my God. But a big part of that dopamine hit is because people are feeling so proud of themselves that they got through that up and down. They made it through. And bonding with the other person who was sitting next to them on the roller coaster. Like, yo, we just did that thing. We just went up 400 feet and we came down together, and it's like excitement. No difference in relationships, in relating with people. We went through that dark time together. Like we went through it, and now we're out of it and we're closer than ever because we experienced that thing. Your experience with the relationship of being like, let's say on a merry-go-round, and I'm judging it as that, being on a merry-go-round for the safe one, and then being on the roller coaster, it's like you got a lot out of both of them, but one of them didn't waste your time as much as the other one.
That's it. I like that. So, as an intimacy expert on the Netflix show Too Hot to Handle, I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about some of the emotional dynamics and the physical intimacy stuff that goes on that show. And just for background for people who haven't seen it, more context on what is really happening with that show.
Yeah, so Too Hot to Handle is a very popular Netflix show, like over 100 million viewers worldwide in the series. And the premise of it is just, it's hot singles. They get to go to an island. They think they're going there to have a lot of sex, to drink a lot of alcohol, to party. Like, like the basic cheese made drama type of stuff that happens on reality shows. But with this show specifically, they get a bomb dropped on them that they're actually not at a a party retreat, a lust retreat. They're actually at a celibacy retreat. And people like freak out because most of all these signals, how they're casted is that having intimate connections with people just physically is no thing to them. Like no thing. Like they can like look at somebody and be like, hey, I want to have sex with you, have sex with them. That's pretty much how they're casted. So in this case, it's like if you do that on this show, there are rules and stuff, and the whole house gets penalized, and or you get kicked off the show if you keep breaking the rules about not being able to connect with another one without it being sex based. And this is Tantra 101. This is why the show reached out to me. They slid in my DMs. And because I was doing 6 years ago, I was doing a men's program called Sacred Fire Synergy. And it was about semen retention and about supporting men in retaining their actual semen and using that for life force. So with a lot of men, I had married men, I had single men, I had men who had girlfriends. But the premise of it was like, okay, you're not going to ejaculate, but you're going to keep all of this energy, this stuff for yourself and use it. So how can, and some of the men who were married were confused and they were scared, like, oh, how am I to have sex with my wife or connect with my wife without, well, I'm not going to do this. And I'm like, bro, there's other ways to connect with your wife without having sex. So that's why this show, that's why Too Hot to Handle brought me on their show to be able to teach some of these principles to the contestants.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, so what are some of those practices to connect with people without having sex and developing deeper intimacy? It was maybe something that the listeners could take home with them as well.
Yeah, so two versions. I'll give the one for the show because it's casted in a certain way. It's still TV. It's unscripted TV, actually. People think the show's scripted. It's not. But it's very persuasive, though. Like the producers make situations to help to make the contestants break the rules. But everything is unscripted. So for that show, in Connection, it's like most of these guys lead with their bodies. They lead with like their brute, their ego. So it's like when all those things are taken away, like how are you going to connect or like get this woman of your dreams? So what are you going to do? So that is something that first with them, it's like you have to have a conversation with her. Like literally as basic as ask her what her name is. Ask her what her name is. What's her last name? Where's she from? Does she have brothers and sisters? So keeping it basic like that. Now, with my clients outside of this, I always a very big supporter in adornment practices. So if you're coupled with somebody or you're dating somebody or you're in that space, throughout the week, like schedule time. And I'm not scheduled time for sex, but schedule time for intimacy. So let's say it's a Wednesday and I'm like, all right, babe, like Wednesday from 6 to 7, I want to give you a massage. I want to rub your feet. I want to wash your feet. I want to run you a bath. Like creating intimate moments. But the goal for me is not to get you all warmed and hot so that we can have sex. The goal is to get you warm and hot, but to make you feel nourished and taken care of. And then we're going to leave it there and let that linger to the next day. Let that linger to the next day. So these are ways that we can also build practices with our significant other.
That's beautiful. There is another practice we were talking about before that I really love, and I want to make sure that we get it shared with the listeners too, which is the mirror work for yourself. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I do this on the show. There are several seasons where I've worked with mirrors with the contestants, and really powerful because most of the contestants, and I'm friends with a lot of them, so like they know I share this, and it's like most of them look at the mirror, look at their face, their makeup, look at their six pack, look at their smile, look at their lashes. Like every time they look at a mirror, it's for aesthetic purposes only. Mm-hmm. And so when we bring this mirror aspect, I have the contestants first and foremost write a letter to their inner child about all the things like why they're even in the show, why they're doing this thing, why they didn't decide to leave the show when they were told that there was no sex, because a lot of stuff starts coming up for them. And with some things that come up for them are things like, let's say there's a woman, like she attracts a lot of amazing men, but she always finds something like an ick thing to be like, actually, I don't like him. He's not for me. And it could be something like, I don't like the way he wears his shoes. I don't like the way he laughs. Like, I don't like the way he wears his hair. It could be very minuscule things, but she finds things to keep them away. So in these mirror work practices, I have them first and foremost, write a letter to the inner child because they got to these spaces from somewhere. And then after the letter is done, I have them pick up the handheld mirror, or sometimes I'll have the full length mirror, and I have them read the letter and looking at themselves. So reading it, pausing, looking at themselves, and then they're still reading, like they're having a conversation with themselves. Because again, most of the time they spend in the mirror is purely for aesthetics. So now let's get in the mirror and talk about our emotions with ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this practice. I've done it myself and I cried like a little baby. So highly recommend to write the letter to yourself and read it in the mirror. It's awesome.
Yeah. Are you overdue? Are you due for a mirror work practice? When's the last time you did one?
Hey, don't call me out.
I'm overdue. That's just a minute for me. I'm saying like, I need a good try.
I did it last year in preparation for Taylor and I's retreat. Because we actually did that. I don't know if you know that, but we did that practice at our retreat as well. And Taylor's like, well, you have to, like, we ran through our whole retreat with ourselves, her and I, and we taught each other like the whole time for 7 days. We did it multiple times. We really wanted to make sure it was great. So I'm over here crying, looking in the mirror in front of Taylor. She's watching me. I was like, Taylor, I don't want to do this. She's like, you got to do it. So, yeah.
No, it's really powerful. It's really powerful. And also, don't give away like your secrets to your retreat. Like let people going to come to your retreat be surprised by the magic of what you're coming. Y'all lucky she gave you that tip away, but
you are lucky. You are lucky.
You're lucky.
Caught me there.
Yeah, no, really powerful practice for sure. Like even for men, like I love this practice for men because we don't get the space normally to be in our emotions. Like I wish like things could affect me a lot more, like faster off the bat, just being a man, like the actual emotional aspect, so that I can cry. It takes a lot for me to get into the space to be able to cry. Big part of it's safety. A big part of it is just accessing those emotions based on my hormones in my body. And the mirror work is one of those things that really supports me in getting into that space to release.
Mm-hmm. Outside of romantic intimacy, if we're trying to deepen a connection with a friend or even a family member or business partner, for example, is there something that we can do to open that space up more?
Yeah, and it's a great question, and there's like a lot of nuances to this because it depends on our family dynamics. Like not every family member is safe. Sometimes friends don't have the capacity. Like I have friends who I go to for certain things, and I have other friends who I would never share emotional intimacy with. That's just the way it is. Like I wish I could be in a space where all my friends, like if I'm having a shitty day, I can be like, yo, bro, this is what I'm going through. But I don't. I have friends from back in the day who are like, we're cool. We're close, we're cool, but we bond on other things. It's having discernment for which family members and friends that you can do this with. That's a big aspect of it. And also, you have to be so willing to lead the ship and to lead everything without taking things personally. Because if you're bringing in the conversation of vulnerability, you're leading the ship. You have to be prepared that somebody just may not want to share vulnerably with you, not because it's you, just because they can't access that with themselves. So it's also having a thing of like, you have to be willing to be disappointed. You have to be willing to be messy, just like Tantra. You have to be willing to be in these spaces where it just doesn't feel good. But what I've learned personally in my life with friends and family members who I've invited into intimacy space, it's been a thing where I'll ask questions. I'm so curious about their childhood, about their life, about things that happen. Like I'll probe questions in a very nonchalant way, just probe questions. And then I may bring in an aspect of like, yeah, because I've been going through this and stuff. So kind of like leaving the door open, even though, let's say I may not need advice and I don't want advice, but I kind of give them a position of power and strength to be able to be like, oh, Brendan's actually asking me a question right now and he can use some support. Because the thing is too, most people want to feel that kind of reverence in that position of like, oh, somebody can learn something from me. That altruistic thing that's in my DNA. I set up my family and friends with that aspect of like, hey, I want to know more about this. I'm like, I'm struggling with this a little bit. Can you give me some there? So again, discernment. But the big thing is, it's you have to lead the ship, and it's okay if like they don't want to open up and you get disappointed.
Oh, that's a really great tip. And it is true. Like if you, especially coming from my perspective in my past version of Rachel, didn't feel like she had the safe spaces to be intimate with a lot of people. And so from someone who has my past, you might feel more nervous to be intimate or vulnerable with people because of the maybe reaction that you got back in the past. And so it's really like building that muscle back up and knowing like, okay, I can try it. I know it might be uncomfortable and I might not get the reaction, but also I don't know if I will get the right reaction if I don't try. So maybe I will have that good thing that I'm looking for, that deeper intimacy, connection, safe space. But in order to see if it's there, you have to test the waters. So I love that you're sharing a way to do that too, of like, okay, let me kind of ask more questions first, have them feel like they're in a safe space, they can support me, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I love the way you sum that up, because that's the way it is. It's like creating a safe space for them to feel like, oh, okay, like, yeah, like like self-inquiry, like you're helping them self-inquire, and then you're bringing the environment of safety. And then once they're in that space, like for me, like I know for me, I'm not speaking for everybody, but family will always be the thing that gets me fucking going. It always will be the thing. And I don't care like how many countries I've been to, like how many plant ceremonies I've did, much money I invested in coaches and therapy. It's like family always gets me. Like always gets me. And
like it's challenging for you?
Yeah, like it's challenging
Same.
at times.
Yeah.
Excuse me, it's challenging at times just to be with like when things come up, like the relationship with my mom, and at times with my dad, and with my sisters who are pretty much non-existent in my life. And there's things that come up that trigger me a lot. And however, I'm still so grateful because it keeps giving me the opportunity to be who the hell I say that I am and what I'm teaching. And family dynamics will always be there. So whenever I get an opportunity now to be around my family, my sister, there's no malice, there's no hate, there's nothing there like that. However, I don't let that little boy come in and be like, you weren't there for me, big sis, when I was a little boy. That voice that comes in, I'm like, yeah, bro, she wasn't. However, let's learn about her now. Maybe there's a reason why she wasn't there for me. Let's find out about it. So holding myself to the standard of curiosity is a huge thing when it comes to deepening intimacy with friends and family.
Yeah. So we could talk all day about the relational stuff for sure, but I know that a lot of the things that you love to talk about with intimacy are maybe even take precedence over the intimate relationship parts, which is the other aspects of intimacy, the parts of nature, connecting to the earth, and everything else. So what are some of those other areas where our mind doesn't go there when we hear the word intimacy? So what are those areas?
Yeah, so I in knowing about myself and learning more about myself, it's an inevitable intimacy journey. And I didn't get there on my own. Even before I started being more relational with people, coming out of my isolation, coming out of like the spaces of, let's say, being afraid to connect with other people because of vulnerable reasons, I was with nature moving through. Like I had my feet on the ground. I was in the jungle partaking in ceremonies, in Latin America. And I was with the birds, with dogs. Like even till this day, I'm still the kind of guy, like if I'm at a party, like I'm with the dog, 100%. Like that's just me. And it could be a coping mechanism, but also it's like I love animals and I love nature and I love that intimacy aspect with beings that can't speak a language. I just love that energetics of that. So the intimacy with life itself, it's like life is gonna beat us up regardless. I was just an example. Life is always gonna beat us up, and every single person on this planet, you, me, everybody listening, we've all faced a version of rock bottom, always. And me reframing what rock bottom is actually not rock bottom. It's soil bottom. It's like I get to lay in the soil when life knocks me the fuck down. I get to lay down and be in the grass. And actually, when we're going through our most chaos, it's actually best to lay in the grass and to lay down because there's nothing else to do. So rock bottom, soil bottom is actually the most appropriate thing that we can actually do, because when I don't know anything else externally about life, let me just lay on Mother Earth because I'm still her child and I'm still going to be here, and then everything will be okay. Let me be held by the earth. So that's the level of intimacy that I bring into unknown intimacy, to my multimedia brand, and also to my work with my clients. It's like, at the end of the day, yes, my mother, Miriam Rivera, I'm the son of her, but I'm still number one, the son of Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you say literally laying in the earth and being held by Mother Earth, I feel like you're talking both in like a spiritual sense and also like an actual, like, no, actually go outside and lay in the ground, right? Am I okay?
Yeah,
Because
both. Like, there's science out there about the ions that come from the earth, and we just put our bare feet in the soil, in the grass.
exactly, grounding and being able to go outside and get that bare skin and reduce inflammation and calm the body down and get into a parasympathetic state. There's so much benefit that does really come from getting outside. And I don't think there's anybody who would deny that fact. Like, if you go to a beach, if you go to a forest, if you just get outside, period, point blank, period, like, you're gonna feel better no matter what you have going on in your life. It might not fix everything. It's not gonna like fix a fight with your partner or something, but you're gonna feel better. It's gonna be good for your health.
It's just like Shrek. Like, remember when Donkey was like, "That's a beautiful boulder," you know? Like, I get to those spots where I just don't know anything about my life, and I just like, that's a beautiful rock. That's the capacity that I am. It's like, and I feel everybody should get to that space where it's like things become so simple, and nothing else is there, that you can just marvel at the beauty of a flower, of a bee landing somewhere, of a hummingbird. Like, marvel at it. Like, these are, it's amazing. So yeah, it's rock bottom, soil bottom is here to teach us and bring us into a deeper intimacy with ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about cacao, which I think we're both drinking some cacao right now. I had to get some in honor of this conversation. And what role does it play in enhancing intimacy for you personally?
Yeah, so I learned cacao on a straight spiritual tip. It wasn't even like a biohacking, like health, that it's good to have dark chocolate and pure chocolate in the body. I got into it via amazing teachers in Guatemala, people in the Mayan Cosmovision, maestros, teachers. And I learned about the benefits and how ancient civilizations used cacao for many reasons. It was once considered currency, like it was once revered as high as gold. Not everybody could have it. It's a lot of history with cacao, with cocoa. And I got into it because I was actually going through an actual deep transformation, like with like family wise, and also like a lot of deep stuff. Like, I always say cacao helped me heal my relationship with my mom, like big time, because it gave me this essence, this grounding calmness. And the way that I see life, and the way that I was taught, and the way that I feel in my body, is that everything has a spirit. Everything has a spirit in life. And whether it's a plant, a tree, an insect, everything has something. And cacao is no different. And the spirit of cacao is very, very, very ancient. The Mayans say that cacao is as old as corn. And corn is the big part of the cosmovision for the Mayans, like the corn people. Like that was the beginning of time. So cacao is said spiritually to be a heart opener. We hear that a lot. Like, it's actually a heart opener. Like, you can do deep spiritual self-inquiring work while drinking cacao and post drinking cacao. And from a biological stance, biohacking stance, a big reason for that, like, is because they go hand in hand, like, science and spirituality. So cacao is a huge vasodilator. So we're getting a lot of oxygen, an influx of oxygen. We're getting an influx of vitamins, minerals. We're getting a big influx of antioxidants, a lot of iron, all these things that comes in. And also, there's a compound that scientists associate with cacao that's in cacao. They named it the bliss molecule, and it's called anandamide. Ananda in Sanskrit meaning nirvana, meaning bliss, meaning grace. Anandamide is the compound that gives us that euphoric feeling. So when we hear chocolate being an aphrodisiac, it's true. But of course, not chocolate like that's bought in stores. We're talking about pure dark chocolate, pure cacao, huge aphrodisiac. And anything that puts us in an aphrodisiac kind of state is just altering our brain. It's not a psychedelic, but it's a psychoactive. And what this is going to do is going to allow us more space and more grace to be more intimate with ourselves, to be more intimate with somebody else. So a lot of times we hear about aphrodisiacs being associated with sex and intimacy. True. But the true purpose of aphrodisiac is that we can just feel spirit more and feel our own spirit more.
So talk a little bit more about, because you just touched on it a little bit, like you're not talking about the chocolate at the grocery store, or even probably some of the cacaos that you might see at the grocery store, cocoa powder, anything like that. What makes a good cacao? Where does it come from? And just more of the background so people know that they kind of know what to look for as well when purchasing this stuff.
It's a great question. I get asked this all the time. So it's only appropriate that I share. I have a cacao project dropping the end of this year around the holiday season. And this has been 11 years in the making, because I've tried cacao from over 30 countries in my life, searching for the best cacao. And what makes the cacao very potent and special is if it's made artisanally and how it's made. Is it handmade? Is it made in the factory? Is there child labor and slavery attached to it, which most of the chocolate that's sold in stores, 75% of the world's chocolate comes from West Africa, and most of it's child labor, which is it's very synonymous with the cobalt industry, with technology in the Congo. So having ethically sourced cacao is a very big thing, and the process as well, because a lot of stuff that I've been sifting through so that I can have a high quality cacao block for everybody is that even in the fermentation process, fermentation can bring a lot of molds into different cacaos. So there's a lot of companies out there, people who they get their cacao from Latin America, but they don't question like what's the fermentation process, and their fermentation process is laden with mold. So making sure that that's there, and also having where cacao is grown is also very important, because let's say in the Amazon region, like one of my fincas is raised up from the Amazon region where we get our cacao from. But there's some people who grow cacao right on the river. And it doesn't have to be only the Amazon River. It could be also other rivers. But when we're thinking about rivers, there's a lot of minerals, a lot of cadmium, a lot of like heavy metals that flow through the rivers and through the root system of the cacao tree that gets absorbed in, and then that comes and gets put into the fruit. So testing for mold, testing for metals, like these are all things that make cacao very health centered. So these are the questions that we need to be asking when it comes to cacao, because not all cacao is created equally. So a lot of the store-bought cacao, you can probably bet there's a lot of metals in it. There's a lot of mold in the fermentation process, a lot of child labor energetically put into it. So it's a lot. Like I can speak about. I'm actually going to be doing a docu-series on this. But there's a lot about this. But just without overwhelming anybody, and you want to get high quality chocolate, there's several brands that you can go to that I'll put in the show notes for you for people to look at that you can get. Yeah, you're going to pay like $6-7 a bar, but you're going to know that it's not moldy, there's no metal, and there's no child labor associated with it, which is an amazing benefit.
Thank you so much for bringing up all that stuff. We've actually we did an episode about chocolate not too long ago, but not cacao. Like this person who has they have like a wellness chocolate bar, and we talked a little bit about mold and things on that episode, so people could go check that out. But it really needs to be known, like the quality of our food is so important, whether it is coffee that also it can be very high in mold toxins, chocolate, certain grains, all of our food sources. We need to be thinking about the quality of our food. It unfortunately, because of the way industrialization has increased heavy metals, as well as the increase in food production, where we're not as, of course we have to be careful with food handling. There's rules in America, but like the over processing and we're pumping out so much stuff. We're just we're pushing consumerism. And so you have to start looking at these things with your food, and it can be very overwhelming and a lot of information. So thank you, Brenden. If you do have some of those resources for us that we can put in the show notes, we can definitely do that. And also how exciting that you're going to make your brand be like low in heavy metals and mycotoxins and everything. So I didn't know that part about what you're doing, which 100% support that. Love it. So what I would love to know also is there is really like a beautiful process with creating a cup of cacao. Do you have anything to share about like when you go to make your cacao, and what do you do with it? Is there anything special that you add or that you do when you make that cacao?
Yeah, so it's I always bring a ritualistic aspect to it. Like it doesn't have to be this big thing. It's just an acknowledgement, a prayer. Like, as cacao, again, as I mentioned, it's still a spirit, and there's something attached to it. It has an essence. So I thank it. I thank it for allowing me to drink it, because at one point in time in our history, not everybody had the privilege of drinking pure cacao. It just wasn't a thing. And a big thing too is like just like food, like we're not going to boil vegetables. We're not going to boil things that have a lot of high nutrient profiles, because it's going to kill the profile of it. So cacao's no different. Like same way with honey, like we should never have honey heated up and like hot. And with cacao, it's like a lot of people boil water and then put cacao in it. Like you're messing your cacao up. Like you want to have it like just like right above boil. Like, and I like to use the temperature. I don't know what it is exactly, like temperature wise, but it's like the tea kettle. Once a tea kettle gets like really hot and then it turns off, that's like the hottest you ever want to get your water for cacao. So I usually, depending on if I'm doing a ceremony or I'm doing just like drinking it in the morning, I'll heat up the tea kettle and I'll pour the water into the blender or into a pot, and I'll have the cacao in and I'll let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes. Let it get cool and let it just like marinate inside of the water. And then if the ceremony, I'll use something called a molido, where I mix it up like this around the pot, or I'll just hit the blender on. But the big thing is too, and if I want to add honey, if I want to add stuff, I make sure that the cacao is warm, not hot. So that's one of the biggest things with the benefits of cacao. It's make sure you're not drinking it super hot. Actually, indigenous cultures, they never drink it hot like that. They drink it more room temperature, because they didn't have like tea kettles and stuff like that back in the day. So I just make sure you're not overcooking it. You're not over sweetening it as well, because a lot of times with the glycemic and the sugar, it's going to disrupt and block the actual benefits and the minerals of cacao. Cacao's supposed to be bitter. It's not supposed to be pleasant, actually. People think it's supposed like chocolate sweet. No. Cacao is meant to be bitter. It's meant to disrupt your palate as well. It's meant to come in there. And when you actually have it as bitter as possible, that's when you do most of the deepest spiritual work. Now, I do at times drink cacao sweeter with some little stuff I add to it, but if I'm doing spiritual work with cacao, just water and cacao in like 6 ounces, about 50 grams, that's it.
Well, there's also something to bitterness that a lot of us are missing in our lives. So many people are used to the hyper palatable foods and the really sweet foods, and we get used to that. And it's actually very important to have the bitter taste. We have a bitter receptor in our tongue for a reason. And part of that reason is because it helps stimulate bile in our bodies to break down fats and digest food. And cacao is actually high in fat, that 100% pure cacao. So I've never even put these two together, actually. I'm just thinking of this as we're talking right now, but like even better reason to drink that cacao bitter, because you would stimulate the bile necessary to break that cacao down in your body better and digest and absorb it, just like Brenden said. So there you go. I love that connection. Yeah, I do like a little bit sometimes of monk fruit or like a little bit of honey in it. And then today I wanted a brain boost. So I don't know, or like an energy boost on top of it. So I put some cordyceps mushrooms in it. That's probably a no-go for it.
Really
Yeah. I'm definitely.
They work really well together. So it's like one thing too, like I've studied the cacao tree, Theobroma. Like I studied it in the Amazon in Guatemala, and I've been around the process of cacao a lot. And I've seen different kinds of cacao trees growing. And the one thing about cacao, the actual behavior of the tree, cacao loves community. It
Mm.
hates being in monocultural settings. Like it loved like the best tasting cacao that I ever had in my life has been on little fincas farms that have bananas growing, that have maracuya, passion fruit growing. It has what do you call it? Jalapenos growing, like all kinds of peppers, and it's so biodiverse. Cacao loves biodiversity in its environment. So the thing is too, like what people don't know that's fascinating about the cacao tree too is that when it's planted and it's small, it needs a banana tree next to it because banana trees help shade the cacao tree until it's about 1 or 2 years old, and it gives it the shade that it needs so that when it gets strong enough, then it can withstand the sun. And then after that, the root system of the cacao tree takes care of the banana tree. So it's giving the banana tree nutrients for taking care of itself. And then it happens with the whole ecosystem. So I share this because when we have cacao, let's say you add mushrooms to it. Mushrooms are prevalent in any environment, fungals, like cacao likes that. There's certain things that cacao loves to be paired with, and cacao loves community. So when you put your reishi and your lions and stuff like that, it's like it works.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. So you did mention a little bit of how you've tried cacao from, I think you said like 30 countries, and you've been all over the world. You've been nomading for I think 14 years, and
Yeah.
not necessarily related to cacao, but I'm curious, how has that impacted your intimacy in life, and maybe even sharing a little bit about your journey of how that has evolved over the years.
Yeah, so I've been to about close to 60 countries. I've been nomadic for 14 years. Like I went to university. I'm from New York, New Jersey area, and then I moved west, went to college, university in Oklahoma, and then I just kept going west from there. And I was already on the path of just playing professional baseball and going to different places, getting traded, moving here for a new team, and then I started playing internationally. So I was already on that kind of vehicle of like just being a gypsy and a nomad. And then I got to a point where I was just like, I don't want to hit a ball, or I don't want to be known for hitting a ball anymore in my life. Like I need a deeper meaning. And so that changed into me just traveling places and moving around. And what I can share about traveling, it's been the best university for me because every single place that I've been to has given me a piece back of my spirit, of my soul, through the intimacy with the earth. Whether it's Bali, whether it's Japan, whether it's Australia, Vanuatu, Uganda, Nigeria, it doesn't matter. Every place has given me a piece of my spirit. And that's what got me on that path. And it's actually what got me connected to Tantra, traveling to Southeast Asia. And then just as I've been moving around a lot, and now I officially live in Ecuador. Like I'm there permanently for the foreseeable future. That's my home. And but up until then, it's like life itself and traveling has given me pieces of my spirit that I feel that's made me who I am now and today.
That's amazing that it's formed your journey along the years. And I'm going to have to come to Ecuador now that you're there. I didn't realize like how long you were staying there for. I thought maybe it was a transient thing, but very cool.
That's home now. That's the headquarters of Unknown Intimacy, my multimedia brand. Like I have a team there of filmmakers and like a bunch of healers. Like it's the spot. Ecuador is so dope. It's so biodiverse. Like you were right next door in Colombia, but Ecuador is so biodiverse. You have the Amazon rainforest. You have the Andes. You have so many volcanoes. You have cloud forests. You have the Galapagos Islands. You have the coast. There's just so much biodiversity in Ecuador, and the food is amazing there too. Like organic. Like it's really good.
I have a plan. I want to go to the Galapagos, but I need to get recertified in diving first, because I feel like if you're going to go to the Galapagos, you better go diving. And it's been like over a decade since I got certified, and I haven't been diving. So I want to like do that and then come there and be able to really experience the aquatic life and everything that they have going on over there.
Yes. Also, I know a couple. They're really dope. They're in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and the husband, he's a dive instructor, and I'm friends with his wife, and they have a beautiful little school there. So if you're ever going to go for like, all you need is a week, I think, or 10 days to get certified.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just go there, post up in Playa del Carmen, and just hit it up with them, and then go about your journey. I'll let
Oh,
you know.
I'm okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
So we have to go soon, sadly, but I want to hear a couple things, like share, kind of wrapping up a little bit more about the Cacao brand. Like, where's that cacao coming from? What happened to be the best one that you found, and when is that dropping for you? And then I would love to hear any other things you want to share about the new brand, Unknown Intimacy.
Yeah, so the cacao, like I'm gonna be working like the premise of my project is that it's not gonna be like a push capitalistic energy. Like what I'm doing and how I'm positioning it is that let's say I'm gonna be like, yo, Rach, on social media, I'll be like, hey, I have 400 pounds of this Amazonian cacao from a small finca on the Amazon basin. And I will tell people that I have this many, and you could make your orders and put your orders in. And by the time you come, it's going to be drop format. So it's not going to be a thing where it's like, oh, I ran out of cacao. Let me order more. I'm staying away from the American, the Western style of like just always having, just like seasonal foods, like cacao with the ancestors was never a thing that they can have all the time. So for me, it's like, I don't want people to think like for my specific brand that they can always have it. It's a very special thing when you get these blocks delivered to your home and you cherish it that way. So I share this because I'm using several different farms. So one drop will be from the Amazon rainforest, one drop will be from a finca in Colombia, one will be from Ghana, one from Nigeria, one will be from Guatemala. So I'm going to be working with different farms and families that I've vetted personally and I have personal relationships with. And each finca has their own quality because I'm not going to tell a small farmer and his family, I need 10,000 blocks of cacao made by this time. And I paid you, so have the, like, nah, F that. Like, that's not the premise of this project. It's a nonprofit distribution that we're doing. And this is how it's going to be. So it's going to be different drops like that. And all this too is to link and to bridge Africa, West Africa with Latin America. Like I'm African American and then my mom's from Puerto Rico. So my great grandmother was Arawak indigenous and my family is Yoruba Ifa from Nigeria. So me, like with cacao going to Nigeria and going to West Africa, it's like there's like a gap in between. So my dream is to bridge both. So it's like one day in your cabinet, Rachel, you'll have um, cacao from the Amazon rainforest, and then next month you'll have cacao in your cabinet from Nigeria. So it's going to be like a very because each part of the land, we're talking about intimacy with the land. Each land has its own imprint on energetically about information of how it's grown, the root system, the soil, the environment, the climate, so all the things. So I want everybody to just have a biodiverse experience when they're drinking the cacao from my brand. So I'm really excited. It's going to drop towards the holiday season this year, November, and it's going to be right in time for the holiday season. I'm going to be selling packs as well, like actual like packs with like starter kits and stuff with cacao. There's going to be a lot of video footage with them, all the stuff. So it's going to be a full-on experience.
It's like limited edition cacao. That's so cool.
Exactly. All the time, artisanal, because the thing is, we want mold-free, we want metal-free cacao, we want all this stuff that's like high quality. It's like, I can't just have a product that's always pumping and then there's going to be somebody not benefiting from it in the bottom who's working 100 hours a week. And I'm like, no, that's not the vibe of this. Like, it needs to be mutually beneficial for everybody involved with a lot of rest in between.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you still have spots open for your? Yeah, I know your retreat is like right around the corner on June 7th.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, so I do. So we're doing our first multimedia project in the Ecuadorian Andes where the condors still fly and indigenous cultures still wear their traditional outfits, traditional clothing. It's in the Ecuadorian Andes and it's June 7th to the 11th. And we have an amazing group thus far, a group of 7 people, and we still have 4 spots remaining, like to be a part of this. Like we're going ahead. We have an amazing film crew as well. So the retreat's going to be filmed and recorded. It's not going to be like reality TV. It's just going to be the workshops recorded, and this is going to be turned into an amazing mini docuseries of showing somatic healing, ancestral healing, and and a deeper intimacy kind of outlook on this inner work that we do, the personal development. And everybody who's been a part of this, who's signed up, the guests, most of them worked with me with my Cacao program, one-on-one coaching, and some of them came with me to the Amazon. So we have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful group of people, high integrity people. And this experience, it's the 7th to the 11th, but everybody's gonna be getting there about the 6th. And something that's important to note about this too is that not everybody like is able to attend this one. You know, like people, I've received so many emails from people wanting to be a part of this, but whether it's the dates or this and that, blah blah blah, like I get it. So there will be other experiences, and also we're going to be running private experiences too of like 1 to 3 people of the same thing, not recorded in film because not everybody wants that. So, but yeah, the first one, the inaugural one, is going to be in a few weeks away, and just so excited about it because the filmmaker that I have making this, he's made some epic pieces in Ecuador and documentaries and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited. But yeah, I would love if anybody's interested, definitely come and book a casting interview / coaching call with me. They're discounted, $111. You can come in and have a coaching session with me and find out more about this retreat. And if you do want to come to the retreat, the money from the call goes towards the retreat as well. So yeah,
nice.
like I'm really excited about it, and it's gonna be. I feel Netflix has really like it's given me a platform and helped me make connections so that I can take the work that we do to the next level, so that everybody can be exposed to healthy, integral living.
That's incredible. We'll have the link in the show notes for the call with Brenden, as well as a link to like a drive that has more info about the retreat too, so people can just look directly at that. Beautiful. Do we have time for a fast speed round, like quick few questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Fun stuff.
Let's do it.
Okay. If you could give advice to yourself 10 years ago, what would it be?
Oh, this one always gets me. It would have to do with just be messy. Like you ain't gotta be put together. Like just usually the first thing that I want to say is usually the truest thing to my heart. So I would say always go with the first thing that I want to say.
It's really good advice. What is one supplement that you could not live without?
Spirulina.
What is your favorite thing to do for stress reduction?
Being a couch potato.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
To be able to speak every single language in the world, every dialect of everything, so I can connect with more people for intimacy.
Oh my gosh, I don't know why I've never thought about that one before. That would be amazing. Okay, and final question. If you could give the listeners one tip to help them live a healthier, happier life that they could implement this week, what would it be?
Because my life theme is forgiveness, and all of my birth chart readings and gene keys and all this stuff, I would say focusing life's work on forgiveness always, because forgiveness is not a one and done thing, and forgiveness spiritually, emotionally, but also physically. So, and what I mean by that, we didn't talk too much about it, but it's like I link shadow work and somatic healing with biohacking. So it's like I'll have castor oil packs if I'm doing deep shadow work to support my liver and detoxing the emotions through the organs and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's a big thing that I've learned. It's like, yeah, we can do the spiritual work and emotional work, but we also have to support our bodies in detoxing as well. Because in Chinese medicine, like say the lungs, grief, a lot of stuff. Like what supplements can we take to help our lungs support? So everything we do spiritually should be in conjunction with biohacking, I feel. So I would say forgiveness. Focus on forgiveness because that shit sticks in our body like glue. If we're not forgiving people, if we're holding resentment, all this stuff, like it doesn't end well for our bodies. If you want to reverse age, or at least not reverse age, I don't like that term, slow down the aging process, you got to forgive people and just keep it moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that is okay. How did I not know this about you two? So we're going to close up here in a second, but you're saying as you're doing the emotional work, you actually have the pack on, like the castor oil pack, for example?
Yeah.
Or just like at night, when you go to sleep that night?
So at night for sure, but like in my experience, when we're doing deep somatic work, when we're doing breath work and everything, so in my retreats, I have people wear the castor oil packs while we're doing the workshops and while we're doing them, and like so it's like in-game processing essentially.
I'm like mind blown right now that I've never thought of that before. That is freaking brilliant. That is brilliant.
On breaks,
Wow.
we eat food and stuff, and then I'll have like spirulina for people to have like everything centered around supporting the body to release on a cellular level as we're doing the emotional work.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll talk about this more offline here. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been amazing, and so happy to have you on episode 100.
Yes, thank you, Rachel, and thank you to all the listeners as well. I appreciate y'all.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If for some reason you skipped over the intro, I want to give you the heads up that I'm doing a massive giveaway that we will be picking the winners on June 16th for. So if you missed the intro, I am giving away, almost a couple $1,000s worth of things, from supplements to ebooks and courses, and there will be 2 winners. So if you missed that intro, go back and listen to it. I go through all of the different prizes and things that you can get and how to enter 2 times. Once you can enter by doing some things on the podcast here, and you can enter a second time on Instagram. So you can go check that out there. And I am so excited to give away these incredible prizes to you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like this video and comment, letting me know what you enjoyed and what you want to see more of. Also, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get alerts when new content is coming out and you don't miss any videos. And just a quick reminder that this information is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or medical condition. Please consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, exercise routine, supplements, or medical treatment. If you're looking for a functional medicine practitioner, please reach out to me. And thank you again for watching, and keep striving to become your healthiest, happiest self.